Alright, this is Marvel Spotlight 33, starring Deathlok. I've never been big into Deathlok. He's an interesting design and concept, but he's never really grabbed us as a character. And this issue here, it's far more notable, at least to me, as it is the first appearance of Slayer Man, who goes on to join the Defenders. This issue is written by Anthony Davis and it's mostly drawn by Rich Fulcher. He is Deathlok's co-creator. The story begins with Deathlok being sent back in time. That is something that we've not seen before. There's our hippie again, Godwolf. And then on the very next page we are introduced to Slayer Man. We quickly get all his backstory. How he was a Marine who came back from the war and he struggled to adapt. His interracial marriage fell apart. Then he became a drunk. Then he became a mafia hitman. Then finally he joined a cult. But now he has split away from the cult. He's quit because of their evil demonic allegiance. And he ends up crossing paths with Deathlok. He mistakes him for an evil demon that a cult have sent to kill him, and Deathlok thinks that Slayer Man is an assassin who has been sent to kill him. And what a case of mistaken identity this is. The rest of the comic can best be described, as you would expect, as a fight between these two characters. It's really fun and it's drawn really well. The art by Rich Fulcher. I would say it's slightly ahead of its time. Not by much, like 2 or 3 years ahead of its time. But like, stuff like this panel here of Deathlok's gun. It's very direct and minimalistic, but artistically so. I mean, Jim Strunke, he did do this sort of stuff in the 60s, but it still feels ahead of the curve in this book from the 70s. What I think is the most interesting part of this issue is how much of it is spent establishing and building up Slayer Man. It reminds us a lot of Punisher in Spider-Man. It seems that they knew full well that Slayer Man was a character that they wanted to appear more than just this once. And more impressive is, straight out the gate, Slayer Man, he is fully formed as the character that I recognise from the Defenders. He is paranoid, he's slightly unhinged, he's consistently down on his luck, he's guilty of toxic behaviours and unhealthy obsessions. It's very clear that Anthony Davis, Slayer Man, was like a character that he had thought of years before putting to paper, so he wound up with a very thought out and extremely detailed concept by the time that it finally made it into a comic. At points, the focus on Slayer Man is so heavy, you forget that this is billed as a Deathlok story. So here's a page to remind you that it's a Deathlok story. We've got some stuff in the far off future of 1991, with the evil baddie ruling over the corporate world that's ruled by corporations. It'd be very easy to just have this issue be a fight between Deathlok and Slayer Man and not much else. But to win me around even further, the two characters, they eventually end up just talking things through and explaining the confusion with how they both think that the other is an assassin sent for them. Then we have got Spider-Man selling some cupcakes, which is nice of him. And it's these cupcakes that help Deathlok and Slayer Man build bridges. And they team up to fight an army of evil demons. So we've got an extra third act that you didn't really expect. This is surprisingly good. I don't know how much of that is me appreciating this from the perspective of it introducing a new character who goes on to be in books I like, and also it being a rare case where stuff from the first appearance isn't ignored. I'm not really sure if it's the best Deathlok story, but as a Deathlok story, it did something you didn't expect, which is it gave Deathlok a villain who is layered and nuanced and compelling. I mean, he never appears in another Deathlok story again, so it becomes a moot point, but I definitely recommend this for Defenders fans. In terms of first appearances, going back and seeing Slayerman's first appearance, I think this is as satisfying as you want it to be. And these first appearances ever so rarely are. I give this a 7 thumbs up.